The first dimension that distinguishes Jungkook from previous Calvin Klein stars lies in his global reach. When Justin Bieber partnered with Calvin Klein in 2015, the collaboration generated enormous buzz, largely centered in North America and Western Europe. Similarly, Kendall Jenner's campaigns primarily resonated with fashion-centric markets and Western social media platforms. While these campaigns were undeniably impactful, their influence was confined by geography and cultural familiarity. In contrast, Jungkook represents a global phenomenon. As a member of BTS, he has been instrumental in driving K-pop beyond East Asia and into markets once resistant to non-English pop music. His personal brand reaches fans in North America, South America, Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, with equal levels of intensity. The global fandom surrounding Jungkook does not simply follow him passively, but actively engages in brand-related discourse, ensuring Calvin Klein's campaigns featuring him transcend cultural barriers. For Calvin Klein, this means that Jungkook's campaigns are not regionally skewed, but globally synchronized. When an advertisement drops, it trends in multiple countries simultaneously. It dominates platforms like Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Weibo, making Jungkook not just a face of the brand, but a global amplifier of its message. This ability to generate worldwide cultural moments on demand is something Calvin Klein had never fully achieved with previous stars. Jungkook's appeal, however, complicates this narrative in a significant way. While he possesses the physical fitness associated with traditional Calvin Klein imagery, his presentation also integrates softness, vulnerability, and artistic expression. He embodies a new vision of masculinity that resonates globally: strong yet approachable, stylish yet authentic, aspirational yet relatable. This shift reflects broader changes in consumer culture, where rigid gender norms are giving way to fluid and multifaceted identities. By selecting Jungkook, Calvin Klein aligned itself with a cultural figure who embodies these shifts, allowing the brand to appear not only contemporary, but forward-thinking. His campaign imagery challenges traditional Western-centric models of masculinity and demonstrates that beauty and strength can be reinterpreted through an inclusive lens. In earlier eras, Calvin Klein campaigns relied heavily on billboards, magazine covers, and traditional media placements to generate buzz. While social media was a factor during campaigns with Kendall Jenner or Justin Bieber, the engagement metrics were still tied to individual platforms and celebrity-driven interactions. Jungkook's campaigns operate in an entirely different digital ecosystem. His fandom is not only vast, but also highly organized, capable of coordinating global trends within minutes. A Calvin Klein post featuring Jungkook is immediately disseminated across multiple languages, amplified by dedicated fan bases, and dissected in fan-driven content such as reaction videos, photo edits, and long-form commentaries. This creates a ripple effect, where Calvin Klein benefits from unpaid labor performed by millions of fans who generate secondary content, effectively extending the campaign's lifespan and reach far beyond its initial release. No previous Calvin Klein star has been able to harness such a systemized and passionate digital ecosystem. For the brand, this means campaigns featuring Jungkook are not momentary highlights, but sustained cultural conversations. Calvin Klein has always positioned itself as a bridge between high fashion and everyday wear. Its campaigns often straddle the line between aspirational and accessible, aiming to make consumers feel that luxury aesthetics can be part of their daily lives. In this respect, Jungkook embodies the perfect ambassador. As a global star, he is aspirational by default. His career achievements, musical accolades, and public image place him firmly in the category of icons. Yet, his styling for Calvin Klein campaigns maintains relatability. He wears denim, t-shirts, and underwear in a way that feels attainable to everyday consumers. Unlike some ambassadors who create an aura of exclusivity, Jungkook generates the impression that Calvin Klein products can bring fans closer to his world. This duality ensures that Calvin Klein appeals to both luxury-oriented consumers and mass-market buyers. Jungkook's presence bridges the gap, enabling the brand to capture new demographics without alienating existing ones. Perhaps the boldest step Calvin Klein took with Jungkook was to acknowledge Asia not just as a consumer market, but as a cultural driver. Historically, Western brands have often positioned Asian markets as secondary, tailoring campaigns to Western audiences before introducing them to Asia. Jungkook's appointment inverted this dynamic. By choosing a South Korean artist as a global ambassador, Calvin Klein recognized Asia as a central force in shaping global fashion trends. Jungkook's campaigns were not localized for Asia, but positioned as global narratives, signaling a shift in power from West to East in cultural production. This move not only appealed to Asian consumers, who felt represented in a way they had not been before, but also reframed Calvin Klein's image in Western markets, presenting the brand as progressive and attuned to global cultural flows. Jungkook's presence thus became a statement about inclusivity, modernity, and strategic foresight. Unlike some Calvin Klein stars whose fame is tied primarily to modeling or reality television, Jungkook brings with him a deep reservoir of artistic credibility. As the main vocalist of BTS and a solo artist in his own right, his musical achievements provide a foundation of respect and admiration that extends beyond fashion. For Calvin Klein, this means campaigns with Jungkook do not rest solely on aesthetic appeal. They carry an added layer of authenticity because he is recognized as a serious artist. This artistic credibility enhances the brand's cultural capital, making collaborations appear less like superficial marketing moves and more like genuine intersections of art and style. This differentiates Jungkook from figures like Kendall Jenner, whose celebrity is often tied to social visibility rather than artistic output. The credibility Jungkook provides extends to Calvin Klein, reinforcing its reputation as a brand that values not only beauty, but also substance. Perhaps the most decisive factor that elevates Jungkook above every other Calvin Klein star is his ability to transform brand campaigns into cultural events. When Justin Bieber's campaign debuted, it sparked conversation, but primarily within entertainment and fashion media. Jungkook's campaigns, in contrast, trend globally within minutes, generating not just conversation but cultural phenomena. Each release becomes a moment that fans, media outlets, and industry insiders anticipate. The campaigns are dissected, analyzed, and incorporated into broader discussions about pop culture, fashion, and global entertainment. This ability to turn advertisements into cultural milestones gives Calvin Klein an unparalleled advantage, making Jungkook not just an ambassador, but a cultural catalyst. Jungkook's campaigns revitalized Calvin Klein's reputation by repositioning it as a brand capable of leading cultural evolution rather than simply reflecting it. His presence shifted the narrative from nostalgia-driven branding to future-focused identity. Younger consumers, particularly Gen Z, began to associate Calvin Klein not just with iconic past campaigns, but with its role in shaping contemporary global culture. This reframing was not superficial. It changed the way Calvin Klein was discussed within fashion journalism, consumer markets, and even academic studies of brand management. Jungkook's collaboration demonstrated how legacy brands could remain competitive by aligning with artists who embody global trends rather than regional familiarity. Jungkook's fandom plays an active role in amplifying Calvin Klein's visibility. However, what distinguishes his campaigns from others is the sustained impact fandom generates. Rather than peaking briefly after campaign releases, his collaborations remain relevant for extended periods due to continuous fan engagement. For instance, Calvin Klein images of Jungkook are frequently repurposed in fan-made art, edits, and social media challenges. His campaigns resurface in trending hashtags months after their initial release, extending the advertising cycle far beyond traditional expectations. This endurance ensures that Calvin Klein maintains consistent visibility in global markets without needing to launch constant new material. From a marketing perspective, this represents a cost-efficient advantage. While other celebrity-driven campaigns require frequent updates to maintain consumer attention, Jungkook's campaigns achieve longevity through organic fandom activity. This reinforces his value as an ambassador whose influence does not depend solely on corporate spending, but thrives through grassroots cultural participation. At its core, Calvin Klein's decision to elevate Jungkook above previous ambassadors reflects his symbolic role as a global connector. He bridges East and West, tradition and modernity, artistry and commerce. His campaigns function not only as advertisements, but also as symbols of cultural unity in a fragmented global landscape. In a time when global fashion must navigate cultural sensitivities, representation demands, and shifting power dynamics, Jungkook represents a safe yet powerful solution. He embodies inclusivity without controversy, innovation without alienation, and global reach without dilution. Calvin Klein's alignment with him therefore symbolizes not only bold marketing, but also a broader cultural statement that global icons of the future will emerge from beyond the traditional Western strongholds. To fully appreciate the bold step Calvin Klein has taken with Jungkook, it is instructive to compare his influence with that of previous ambassadors. Mark Wahlberg, 1990s. His campaign established Calvin Klein's provocative image, but was limited to Western dominance. Kate Moss. She introduced a minimalist aesthetic that became iconic, yet her influence was tied to the supermodel era and Western fashion circuits. Justin Bieber. His campaigns revitalized Calvin Klein for younger audiences, but were overshadowed by controversies that sometimes diluted the brand association. Kendall Jenner. As part of the Kardashian-Jenner empire, she brought visibility but also polarizing opinions tied to her family's reality television brand. Jungkook, by contrast, merges the positive aspects of each predecessor while eliminating their limitations. He possesses global reach beyond Wahlberg or Moss, appeals to younger audiences without controversy, unlike Bieber, and carries artistic credibility that transcends the image-focused identity of Jenner. The comparison highlights not only his superiority, but also the unique qualities that make him irreplaceable in Calvin Klein's history. A critical factor in assessing Jungkook's position above other Calvin Klein stars is the sustainability of his influence. Many celebrity campaigns burn brightly but fade quickly once media attention moves on. Jungkook's trajectory, however, suggests durability. As a solo artist, his career continues to expand. As a member of BTS, his legacy remains secure, ensuring his relevance for years to come. His digital footprint guarantees that every campaign is archived, referenced, and reintroduced by fans across platforms. For Calvin Klein, this means his value as a brand ambassador is not tied to a single moment. but represents an ongoing cultural presence that can evolve with time.